This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, worldwide on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X-Zone Broadcast Network, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Australia, Asia, Africa, and Europe. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Our toll-free number worldwide is 1-800-610-7035. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is Dr. Joanne Bishop. She is a highly gifted intuitive, sought after since childhood for her uncanny ability to perceive into her clients' hearts, minds, and souls. Dr. Bishop believes that intuitives in general can offer support and help individuals to visualize the possibilities open to them. Only individuals can create their future by the choices that they make. Dr. Bishop was born into a family of Celtic intuitive women and has exhibited the gifts of second sight since she was 3 years old. Her mother and her grandmother were also intuitive. Although she studied with many teachers, her most significant and endeared was a Navajo shaman who was her mentor for 14 years, teaching her the ways of American Indian spirituality and shamanism. She has both a natural and international client base as an intuitive, trainer, and coach. Joanne has co-authored 3 books on success strategies: Success is a State of Mind, Roadmap to Success, and Success Strategies, a Guide for Higher Achievers, and produces meditation and motivation hypnotherapy CDs, and she is also the president of Crossing Bridges and Associates and has founded LiveLifeThrive.com. Her credentials include graduate degrees in counseling, psychology, and public policy. Her books and meditation CDs are available at her website at www.drjoannebishop.com. That's DRJOANNEBISHOP.com. And Dr. Bishop, welcome to the X-Zone. It's a great pleasure having you with us tonight.
Thank you, Rob. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Tell me, Joanne, what does it feel like to be a truly gifted, highly gifted intuitive in today's world?
Well, ultimately, it feels like I walked in 2 worlds, but I have always done that since childhood. I was born into an immigrant family. My grandmother immigrated down through Canada from Ireland. And so I've had what Americans would consider a strange childhood. And because of that, I really wanted to seek out a more scientific balance. And also my grandmother encouraged that. So I've lived in 2 worlds. I can see the value of both. Mm-hmm. And I feel that it's been my life purpose to make bridges with the scientific community and the intuitive community. And so that's been my passion, and it has driven my work most of my life.
How are you able to separate the 2 worlds at any given time? Because I would imagine, as a very gifted intuitive, you're torn between the people on this side who seek your help, as well as the spirits on the other side who seek your help in contacting the people on this side.
Well, I think because I have been born into this family very early, with my grandmother speaking to ancestors for guidance, mm-hmm. and then being a very curious-minded child from the beginning, I have been able to actually turn it on and turn it off. Although sometimes, even with my own strong scientific, let's say, focus, there has been occasions where people have broken through I would say it's like a barrier that I have to get a message to someone. And I have to say, Rob, it always amazes me. And even though it happens to me, and I can move into that state through a relaxation exercise I do before I speak to clients. And
speaking about messages, I hate to do this, but I've got to take a 2-minute commercial break. We'll be right back. Dr. Joanne Bishop is my special guest, and the good doctor and I will return on the other side of this 2-minute break.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources, There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com. Dr. Joanne Bishop is my special guest this hour, Exonation. drjoannebishop.com. That's drjoannebishop.com. Sorry, before we had to cut you short, Doctor, I had asked you how you basically keep yourself level between both worlds, and you were basically, what you said was you learned how to shut it off, and I guess you really need to do this in order to have some privacy and a personal life.
Yes, yeah, I believe that's true, and I also think it's healthy because being grounded in the world is very important for many aspects of development. And if I stayed in that world, I would certainly not be grounded. I'd be St. Teresa. So in terms of the people in the past who have actually lived in that kind of a world, they tend to be cloistered and do a lot of world work. So that's not my path this time.
Tell me, Doctor, a lot of people talk about things that go bump in the night. Now, what kind of things actually do go bump in the night, and how would a person know if their house is truly haunted and they're not making it up?
Okay, well, hauntings are really very rare. And so sometimes the things that go bump in the night can be a result of a person's hypervigilance or anxiety. So there's a difference between anxiety, intuition, and being psychic, and also being bridged to the other world. So my experience is that hauntings occur with people who are already intuitive or sensitive and actually have the capacity to hear the bumps in the night. Here in Hawaii, we have a lot of, I call it breakthrough hearing or audio intuition. And I think that has to do with the place the house is. So if the house has been on Indian burial grounds, it's more likely that you're going to have what someone calls a haunting, because that energy is very, very strong. American Indians and Canadian Indians are very connected to the earth. They put a lot of energy. They love the earth. They revere the earth. So those kind of things will create perhaps a haunting. I can tell you a story about a group of, I was a licensed psychotherapist, I still am, but during my practice over, say, 23 years in a certain location in California, I heard from a variety of people who lived on the same street, the same story. They didn't know, of course, each other was experiencing the exact same thing. And it was a whole block. And we learned later that that was a Native American burial ground. So the haunting of places is rare, but I believe that it can happen, and it happens because in that part of the earth or where your house is, there's more of a breakthrough of the two worlds. So when things go bump in the night, it can be a heightened level of anxiety that you're having, and there is nothing there. There isn't a haunting. Or it can be people having extrasensory perception, or what they call PSI, and able to tap into something that goes bump in the night. So whether it's a haunting or not, you could call in some experts. If it's a poltergeist, they're finding that it has to do scientifically with adolescent males in the family. So it just depends. There's a lot of variables.
You talked about Poltergeist, and I remember the TV show Poltergeist, and it seemed to be the events of the Poltergeist seemed to be centered on this young little girl. I don't know if you saw the movie Poltergeist, Doctor, but if you did, I was wondering if you could give us your opinion of it.
I saw it a long time ago. I think, of course, all media is entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
and so there has to be a certain level of thrill with the kind of phenomena we're talking about. But usually it is coming from a person who is living and a child who has a level of either extrasensory ability or anger. So poltergeists traditionally have been researched in the 70s and 80s, and it's been found, like the Amityville horror movie, that these occurrences usually center around a lot of kinetic energy coming from a living person or a living child.
Wasn't there one study, Doctor, that came out, I believe it was in the 80s, that connected poltergeist in children to sexual abuse?
You know, it is an area that I specialized in a very long time, and that is related to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that the trauma of the abuse,
Right.
sent the child deep within themselves into a protective place where we have different levels of energy called alpha, and we live in a beta wave. That means we're conscious. Alpha wave means we're in a trance. Theta is much deeper, and sometimes you don't remember things. Well, these children, in order to protect themselves, develop that ability to go within themselves and stay in an alpha state. Research, even recently, as early as the 90s, is finding that a lot of extrasensory perception and phenomena can be experienced during that alpha wave state. So yes, to answer your question, sexual abuse or any kind of trauma sends children into themselves. And we see in metaphysical gatherings, like I said, I've lived in both worlds.
Yes.
And in metaphysical gatherings of people, I think the sensitivity of many of the people have come through either being children of alcoholics, sexual or emotional or physical abuse. And it's that very thing, that ability to survive, that creates their sensitivity. And I believe that, of course, we all need to ground that, and they can use that to move further into development as long as they understand what happened to them.
Why do you think, Doctor, that so many people today are turning to the paranormal for explanations rather than looking for rational explanations first?
Well, I think it's happened throughout time, but especially in times of strife or great challenge, when things aren't anchored or in balance, as we're finding today. Even if we didn't like a politician, they were reelected over and over. And what's happening is that all of our basic anchors have been lifted I would say, in the last 10 years. And the social media has accelerated our ability to communicate, which has all been very unsettling to most people, because what I hear a lot is, I can't keep up. Well, when you can't keep up, you're more vulnerable to feeling hopeless or helpless, sometimes even depressed. So I believe that we reach for a higher level of understanding in order to cope. And I feel that's what's happening today, that more people are reaching for an unknown. A poll was taken just in 2003 by, not a scientific poll, but by Time Magazine. And what they found is 90% of Americans believe in an afterlife or a higher power. 65% believe they have had encounters with the afterlife. So, but I'm not sure if that's a statistic that is new. If we look at the past. People were much more superstitious in the past and much more susceptible to believing these kind of things.
With all the information and disinformation that is available on the internet, how does the disinformation play with the believer who wants so much to believe in something that they will take anything that fits the criteria of what they believe is happening into their own home?
I think that is extremely dangerous for people because there is no grounding or what I use as a scientific method, a reflection of, is this true or not? Mm-hmm. So the acceptance of these things without having a level of skepticism is not discriminating, and you are putting yourself in harm's way by doing that. There are a lot of wonderful, good, solid, grounded people out there that are studying this phenomena and can lead you to both sides of the story. So I think that someone who only gives you one side of the story and only has that one level of perception or ability to think on is not going to be always in your best interest. So bringing it into your home is sometimes hard to get rid of. That's how I feel. Once you've got it there, mm-hmm. You are hooked in. So you're going to have to work to get unhooked, especially if you're experiencing financial difficulty, relationship difficulty. You're seeking help. You want help. And
you'll take it from wherever you can find it. Doctor, please stand by. You and I have to take our commercial break with the news at the bottom of the hour. X-Zone Nation, our very special guest this hour is Dr. Joanne Bishop. Her website is drjoannebishop.com. The good doctor and I will return on the other side of this news break as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and Talkstar Radio.
It was a terrifying experience.
I thought we was going to go to jail for murder.
That day, we were a little behind, so we worked until it was starting to get dark.
We loaded up the equipment and hadn't driven very far when we caught glimmers of this glow coming through the trees. I urged Mike to hurry up and get up there.
Travis had the door open before we even stopped. As he got closer, I heard the sound.
One of the guys said, "You feel that?"
I really panicked then.
I told him, "Get the hell out of here."
It didn't come directly to me, it came to a deputy sheriff.
Three of us volunteered right away to tell him what had happened.
Sheriff Gillespie definitely didn't believe it.
He says that we better be certain because we get in a lot of trouble.
When we went to search the next day, they split us up, and the whole time the deputies asked me, if you just tell us where the body is, we can all go home and get this over with.
We're talking about 100 people. Combing through the wooded area, nothing turns up.
All week long, I've been hearing they're going to set it up to make you guys look guilty.
We're a rough-looking bunch then. Some of us have been in trouble with the law before.
And y'all ain't never going to come out of that jailhouse.
We couldn't get out.
I tried to sneak out the back door the day of the polygraph test. I was scared to death.
And on top of that, you have media.
I literally would be on 2 telephones at the same time.
We've even got some coops in here now that's coming in and out to see the freak show, as they call it.
Everyone descends.
I just wasn't going to stand there and listen to it anymore.
Granny says, "This is Travis. I'm back. I need help." When I did hear that he had been returned, it was almost as unbelievable as the original thing.
I just looked at my mom and says, "I told you we didn't kill him."
Travis Walton reappeared after several days with a bizarre story about a ride in an unidentified flying object.
People were desperate to explain it away.
Why are you sticking up with Travis for all this time? You know this really didn't happen.
What happened to Travis after we took off in that truck, I can't tell you.
I hated Travis for a long time after this. My whole world just tore up.
But I believe every word Travis said about it. He's never lied to me about nothing.
It's a net negative. We lost our jobs in the immediate aftermath.
And now you're not able to talk about it with anyone because you know that they're going to laugh at you, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
But if you don't come out and tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you.
There's a degree of responsibility. Certainly I have to accept the bad. If I can direct what's happened in a way that I can make something good happen in the world, I'm looking for it.
Order your copy of Travis, The True Story of Travis Walton, today at www.traviswaltonthemovie.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Dr. Joanne Bishop is my special guest X-Zone. Her website is drjoannebishop.com. That's drjoannebishop.com. There's a lot of television shows on these days, Doctor, about ghost hunters, paranormal investigators, ghost hunting cops now. But the one that concerns me the most is the one called Psychic Kids, where they actually do psychic investigations, or so-called psychic investigations with children. Now, are these children in any danger psychologically and emotionally going through these type of so-called investigations with non-experts?
I believe they are. Children are still in the developmental process, so we make many decisions about ourselves and our capability, life purpose, between 10 and 11. It's a moral development stage. And I think having them be performance-based with a possible gift can move them into perhaps an unbalanced state. There are organizations forming now looking at the effects of these reality shows on children and the decisions they make, the subconscious messages they have. So I think it can create a level of disappointment in children by being the focus of, let's just say, with the psychic phenomena and intuition, and having an expectation about their lives after this, and setting them up for failure or self-fulfilling prophecy, where they have to perform and they become fraudulent in some ways. So, you asked me the question about the internet, and
yes,
these two things go together. Tricksters and frauds are out there, and they will never have your best interest in mind. And I don't think they have the best interest of the children, although it is interesting that we are now focusing on the development of intuition in children. And I think we do need to research that. And I think children are way more intuitive than their adult counterparts when they come in, because they're more open, more curious, and they're not so judgmental about the intuitive state that adults tend to get into. But I believe that the ability, it has to be developed in a structured way that has a lot of grounding with the rational mind. And what we're focusing on in these children's programs is just the intuitive subconscious, which actually can't get you through life. You need both. You need a balance between the ability to think and reflect and analyze and the intuition. So, I think the pendulum always swings. Yes, there's danger to the children, I believe, just because I'm a child's advocate.
Yes, so am I.
But I think that now we're focusing on the intuition and the subconscious and ghost, and we're not bringing it back to understanding it in a scientific manner, which is important in order to have balance. So the fraudulent practices that are out there will always promise you something forever, and when they start asking for money, or like we see with the reality shows where the children and the parents aren't seen in the best light, there isn't grounding, I don't believe that's necessarily a good thing for children.
What would you say to a parent who came to you, doctor, and said, Dr. Bishop, my child claims to see dead people?
Well, the first thing I would look at is what is the family environment? What are the family spiritual beliefs? Some spiritual beliefs allow for the intervention of deities or higher spirits, so it would make the child more able, perhaps, to perceive that reality. I'd look for problems in the family. I would look for an overall view of what's going on with this child. I believe that children do see dead people. I saw dead people from a very early age. So it's a matter of helping the parent not close off that ability in that child, but yet help the child understand or explore with that child what this means, when does it happen, and not make fun of the child, but to respect that this child may be having a paranormal experience a lot of the time. I know my godson, they're very more academic kind of people. I've always been an anomaly to them, even though, we met in school. But he, at 5, said, "Mommy, I remember being between your bones." And now that could have come from nowhere, but this little boy, and he really meant it. So I believe children have that extraordinary perception closer to the surface than we do. So what I tell the parent is, let's look at the patterns, let's start, writing down just, when these things happen, let's see if there's a stressor involved, or let's just see if this child has a gift. And it can be developed.
When you saw dead people as a child, what did they look like? Did they look like ordinary people? If a person passed away at the age of 80, did they look like an 80-year-old, or did they look as they would have in their prime of life?
That's an interesting question, because some people do see themselves at their prime, which I feel, whatever that age is to them. Sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 35. So they come back, and when I'm actually doing a reading for someone, they'll stand around the person. Also, they can look, their age when they left. They can also be in a more traumatized state still from a long-term chronic illness, so they don't even look like themselves. But I feel what I'm blessed with is that they always give me a symbol of something that I could never know about. And that is heartening to me as a scientist and also as an intuitive, because then I'm not making this up. And that's the other thing. We have to keep reflecting, is this real? Intuition, which is different than what you've asked, being a medium, but intuition doesn't feel like anything except knowing. It's a clear, neutral space. Right. And, so when I do see them, they come in all shapes and sizes, but they are standing in front of me as if they're real. That's how I see people. They're at a higher level. People say, "Well, can you see through them?" No, you don't. You don't see through them, but you do see that it is a different vibration than the denser energy that we live in. And angels, by the way, come in colors for me. And I do believe there are angels.
I was just going to ask you about angels and spirit guides, because everyone talks, the people that we have on this show who are mediums or channels or gifted intuitives talk about how there are angels and spirit guides. And there are those who, there seems to be a cross mix of what the job of an angel is compared to a spirit guide. And I was wondering if you could help clarify for me what the job of an angel is and what the job of a spirit guide is.
An angel, of course, has never been embodied, has never come to the earth to live. They're actually a form of energy, and so usually they come for our protection or as a messenger. And that's their work as long as we're alive. So when you see, like through the Catholic religion, a prayer card with the angel walking with the child, I believe that we have the child in us through adulthood, and that angel, there is a protection. I hear so many near misses, and people know in that moment when they're near missing death that something pulled them back or had their protection in mind. So that is one form. A spirit guide is not usually an angel. I don't, unless you're a medium that has believes that you're having an angel come through you. It's a departed person who you know or don't know, can be in your ancestral line or your genealogy, and has come back as their purpose, as long as you're alive, to help and guide and provide perhaps wisdom for you. Many times when I'm doing a reading, I'll see a grandmother, And I know in that moment when I see her that this grandmother will stay until this person, say a grandchild or an adult, leaves. And that's their way of serving and evolving, letting their souls evolve. So a spirit guide is someone departed. An angel has never been embodied in physical reality. But both of them have the same work, I think, and that is to help us learn and grow and evolve and come to our own wisdom.
Tell me, has there ever been a time when the darker side, the demonic side, has manifested itself to you?
Yes.
How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the demonic side of the spirit realm?
First of all, I own my fear. Mm-hmm. I believe that evil or demons have many purposes, as the light does. And so if you have light, then you're going to have dark. That's just part of the yin and yang of life. So I think it's important for us to realize that kind of energy is out there. It also takes the form of people. I mean, it's real life people who continue to have their own best interest in mind all the time and will commit fraud. That's a level of darkness for me. So I don't see it so much as a demon as I do see different levels of darkness. They tend to come around people when we're most vulnerable, and many people say they see demons. Demons are the origin of demons are from Lucifer and being cast out of heaven and using his free will to move towards the dark side. But without Lucifer, we wouldn't have the archangel. So I want everyone to see it as an imbalance.
Right.
And go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, we were just talking earlier about balance, and it seems that if you have good, you must have evil in order to maintain a balance.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And it also challenges us as human beings to be able to look at the darkness within us and not make ourselves wrong, but become an observer of it and make better choices. And it's the same thing with seeing darkness around people. It's not only the darkness that has never been embodied, which is a demon or the Lucifer end of things. It is the darkness that people have that's unowned in them that can perpetrate harm. So I see it as all one thing, although I do own my scare of it, and because I believe that it is a force, but the force is also light. So immediately, if I feel afraid, I move towards my own light inside what I call the divine within, which is in my DNA, and it's in the grand design, and I stand in that and just tell that darkness to go away. But I think it's important to own your fear of it. And if you don't, you're going to make up stuff about it, and then it's going to be running your life because you're afraid, and now you're making up stuff about it. It's better to stand in it, look at it, and recognize that it's there, and make a decision about what you want to do. You're not helpless when it comes to darkness or demons, but we have to have the balance. God made it that way, I think.
All right,
higher
Doctor,
power.
Please stand by. We've got to take our final break. Dr. Joanne Bishop is my special guest this hour. Her website is drjoannebishop.com. That's drjoannebishop.com. And Dr. Bishop and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and on the Talkstar Radio Network.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randle, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randle. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. Exonation, our special guest this hour, all the way from Hawaii, has been Dr. Joanne Bishop. And Joanne, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. And I do hope that you keep your great work up, because I have a feeling, and I'm not an intuitive, I'm not psychic, I'm not a medium, but just for talking with you over the past hour, I believe that you're touching a lot of hearts and making a lot of positive differences in a lot of lives.
Thank you for that.
Now, here's my final question to you, and this is a rather serious one. How dangerous is it for a person to try and go up against the true paranormal without having the proper training?
Very dangerous, I think. Not because the paranormal is dangerous, but because we're still learning about the brain and the effects of thinking or states of trance on the brain. Recently, there's been a study that, I'm also a hypnotherapist, and the power, hypnotherapy or hypnosis has gone through different stages of acceptance up and down since the 1800s. But what we're finding is that in a hypnosis state, which is the alpha state, which I talked to you about earlier, the brain actually changes. And now they have MRIs and CAT scans, and they can see how the alpha state of brainwave can reprogram you because you are relaxed, make you more intuitive, make you more in touch with the subconscious. If you don't have a good balance in discernment, then suggestions are going to be going into your brain that can, not because it's someone else doing it to you, but because we also have what we call the fight or flight response.
Yes.
And that comes from our old reptilian brain, and it's kept us here, millions of years evolving. It was a very good thing. However, the paranormal has a lot of sensationalism with it. And so depending on who the practitioner is, you can become very dependent or frightened by some of the phenomena that they say is going on. So I say that if you're going to go and learn more about the paranormal, do it through reputable people, institutions that are not just based in the paranormal, but based in some scientific study, because you are being programmed. Advertised media, all of that programs us, because in a way, when we watch a commercial, we're in a trance state, or we're driving along watching the white lines. So lots of information is going in there that can activate the old fight or flight.
Doctor, I hate to do this, but we've got about 20 seconds. So I guess the answer is yes, it is dangerous, and it's always best to seek a professional out before doing anything.
Yes.
Doctor, thank you very much. Love to have you back on in the future. Dr. Joanne Bishop has been our guest this hour. drjoannebishop.com.